Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I want to talk about John Lennon Mind Games. All the kind of hubbub has died down a little bit, about the box set. Everybody's made a video on it, and I wasn't planning on making a video on it, but then I decided, why not? I figure you watch this video or you don't watch this video. I want to share my thoughts on the album itself rather than talk about the box set. My thoughts on the box set. There's the super deluxe one. The artsy fartsy one. In the cube and all that kind of stuff. Looks like it's going to be fantastic. $1,300 or whatever it's going to be. Doesn't matter to me because I'm not planning to buy it. So why talk about the price and why complain about it? I have no intention of buying it. First off, it would be a waste for me because there's vinyl in it, and I don't collect vinyl. I collect a different format. And would I buy like the regular deluxe box set? I'm probably not going to be able to afford that either. So I'd probably have to buy the 2 CD version. If you're going to buy the box set, you're so lucky to be able to afford that. And probably by the time I'm talking about this, it probably sold out because I think there's only 1,100 worldwide made. So, you're lucky. That's awesome. Fantastic. And if you don't buy it, that's fine too. A lot of people don't like the album from what I understand. I have to admit that I think that Imagine is the best John Lennon album. I think Plastic Ono Band is the second best John Lennon album. But Mind Games is my favorite. And there's always a difference between favorite and best. Sometimes your favorite is just because you connect to it more. And this is an album that I connect. Now, the one that I have is that remaster from the early 2000s, a remix. And it sounds wonderful. You hear instruments you didn't hear in the original mix. Because I used to have it on vinyl back. The album actually came out when I was 9 going on 10, came out in 73. But I don't think that I really sat down and really listened to it for a couple years. The single Mind Games is right up there with Number 9 Dream as one of my favorite John Lennon singles ever, and Instant Karma as well. There's so many great John Lennon singles. But this album is a whole different beast. Everyone's always comparing every solo Beatles album to the Beatles. You can't do that. Everybody was doing different things, and they're all recording in completely different places. People are obviously going to compare this to Band on the Run by McCartney. Well, guess what? This isn't Band on the Run, and it doesn't try to be Band on the Run, and it doesn't even try to be the Beatles. Lennon, by this time, was living in New York, or New York City, and this is a very New York City sounding album. In a live stream I did a couple years back, somebody had made a comment about the sound of the album sounding very New York, and I wish I could remember who that was so I could credit it to them, because then it gave me a new perspective on listening to the Lennon albums. Because, like on, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, which is on Walls and Bridges, that sax solo throughout the song, it sounded like the bumper music for Saturday Night Live. Every time they'd go to commercials or come back, it always sounded like that. And yeah, it made sense that that's a very distinct New York sound. If he was in a different environment, if he was still living in England, or if he was living in California or in Omaha, this album would sound completely different. But it's a very New York sounding album. So you're taking a British or Liverpudlian, let's just say. Let's be a little more exact and precise. You're taking a Liverpudlian singer-songwriter who then moved to, I guess, London or, surrounding areas, and then to New York. So he's in a completely different environment. So his songwriting is going to be influenced. I believe that all songwriters are influenced by their surroundings. An artist that sits and writes 3 songs while sitting in a hotel in Southern California, is influenced by where that artist is then. And then if they write 3 more songs and they're in Portland, Oregon, it's going to sound different because you're heavily influenced by your environment. Even when you're listening to an album, you're going to be influenced by whatever surrounds you, your moods and your outlook. It's always going to be influenced. And that's really what Mind Games is. And when I connected with Mind Games, look, I'm an emotional listener, and I really get into an album if it affects my emotions. And I was like that back when I was, by the time I got on the album, I was probably 11 or 12, probably 75, 76. And I was deeply connected to this album. I mean, even back in the second grade, I was falling in love with the girls that I went to school with. And I was feeling that deeply. I mean, I actually felt emotion, and I felt the sadness of songs in second, third, fourth grade, which is very, very kind of strange, and I don't think it's a normal occurrence. So I'm an emotional listener. So when I hear songs, I instantly attach my memories, my emotions, my feelings to that music. And this album, to me, while I don't think every song is perfect, like Tight Ass is okay, Meat City's fun, but there's some song on here where, I was 12 years old and, oh my gosh, this girl in class, she's so cute. Oh my God. Oh God, I wish she was my girlfriend type thing. And, so I'd hear these songs with that frame of mind, or, so I was connecting with stuff like that. And growing up, I was never the type that had invisible friends or imaginary friends type thing, right? The things that I would connect with on an emotional level, if family members weren't around or I wasn't hanging out with friends, were albums like Mind Games. So these were kind of my saving grace. Did I understand exactly what John Lennon was singing about on Mind Games? I don't think so, but it just sounded wonderful. Asimo Sen, I'm Sorry. Now when I hear it, it sounds very, very beautiful. Back then, I didn't know what to expect. And a lot of these songs are very personal, but then there's catchy ones that aren't as personal. Like, let's say, for example, Bring on the Lucy, Free to People. I mean, that's personal, it's coming from John, but it's not like between him and another person. It's more of, let's all get together, everybody. But there's something like, I love Out the Blue. Oh my gosh. I used to just put the headphones on and drift away with that. It was so powerful, so emotional. And with this mix, it just sounded so much better, because the vinyl I used to have when I was a kid, is very tinny, very flat. Same with Walls and Bridges. They always sounded just really flat, like every instrument and every vocal was mixed to the same level. You weren't hearing, well, except for that damn saxophone, which was louder than everything else. But, you weren't hearing like an instrument higher, lower, or whatever. It just really seemed like it was all flat, whereas this brings the album to life. And when I was watching that little trailer for the new box set and the new release, I believe that they're using the new mix of the album, which is even newer than this, obviously. Now, this does still sound a little tinny, but it sounds much better than the vinyl. But the version that I heard on that little advertisement for the box set, the production sounded closer to let's say the sound of Imagine or Plastic Ono Band, because those albums I think were produced by Spector, whereas this was produced by John Lennon. And like I said, it was just tinny, but the sound of those mixes on that preview, I had the headphones on, they sounded more earthy to me, more intimate, I guess you could say. It doesn't sound radically different. It's not like, whoa, what the hell? I mean, that's probably going to happen when I actually listen to, the mix from CD. But I connect with this album, and it remains my favorite John Lennon album, strictly because, like I said, when I was 12, you're going through these things, we're always going through things in our lives, even today, 60 years old, and I'm still going through things in my life, and I'm still connecting to this album because maybe it offers hope. Maybe it offers just that, hey, I'm able to connect. I'm not a Lennon sycophant. Like I said, there's like I love, let's say One Day at a Time, but I don't care for the falsetto. I'm kind of hoping in the finished box set there might be a version there where he's not in falsetto. But again, I don't dislike it either. But wherever, what's the song called? Wherever you are here. Yeah, it's just called You Are Here. That just sounds great. I Know is another song that, Only People. That's another, just upbeat, great song. Intuition. Intuition sounds kind of lightweight, but it's still really cool. Like I said, this sounds very New York. Over the years, I've learned to know and to really listen for things. Sometimes, you know when you listen to Talking Heads or Blondie or the Ramones, that's very distinctly different, but from each other, but it has a certain vibe to it. Just like if you listen to 2020, the Plimsolls, the Knack, and those West Coast bands, they have a certain sound, and it's very different than the New York sound. This doesn't sound like any of those, but it's got David Spinoza on guitar, and it's just a different album. It's not recorded in England like all the Beatles albums always said. It's recorded in New York. It's recorded at a time where John Lennon was, I think, starting the beginning of the long weekend or whatever you call that. When him and Yoko were separated, and it's kind of him pining for Yoko. And, and I'm a big Yoko fan. And in fact, in the description box, I'm going to put a link to my video where I talk about Yoko's albums from the 70s and early 80s, if you haven't seen that already. But I'm looking forward to hearing a new version of this album. Like I said, I'm not going to get that big cube box. I don't have anything against it at all. I'm so glad that they're making so many different versions of this available for all of us to enjoy, and we're all able to go into it at whatever financial level that we are comfortable with. I would love to get the box set, but at the same time, even if all of a sudden somebody gave me $160 or $70, I don't know if I'd buy it because I'm a completist. So then I'd have to go back and buy the Imagine box and the Plastic Ono box. And it's just going to end up costing too much money. So I think I'm going to have to stick with the 2 CD version. But I think this is a wonderful album. It really deserves your, go back and give it a listen. Mind Games is definitely my favorite album. So I'm looking forward to it. Whatever version I'm able to get when it comes out. And, I hope that you at least give it a listen and, stop complaining about it. There's so many people out there complaining, oh, this box set. You don't have to buy it. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, to ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, from the best Beatles channel ever, not really. Remember me, I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.